So, welcome everyone. I hope we were able to concentrate a little bit so that we can start now. So, we had stopped at this page number 50, book Integral Healing, and now maybe we are ready to take this one, Sensing and Repelling Attacks of Illness. Yeah, so if anyone would like to read it, please go ahead.
Sensing and repelling attacks of illness. Sri Aurobindo. If we live only in the outward physical consciousness, we do not usually know that we are going to be ill until the symptoms of the malady declare themselves in the body. But if we develop the inward physical consciousness, we become aware of a subtle environment, physical atmosphere, and can feel the forces of illness coming towards us through it. Feel them even at a distance. And if we have learned how to do it, we can stop them by the will or otherwise. We sense too around us a vital, physical, or nervous envelope, which radiates from the body and protects it. And we can feel the adverse forces trying to break through it and can interfere, stop them, or reinforce the nervous envelope. Or we can feel the symptoms of illness, fever, or cold, for instance, in the subtle physical sheath before they are manifest in the gross body and destroy them there, preventing them from manifesting in the body.
Yeah, thank you. So, any thoughts, any reflections are welcome.
I remember reading a very similar passage, or maybe it was this one many, many years ago. And I noticed that I'm not sure if I can sense all that he's saying. The promise of it, the full potential is still ahead of me, I feel. Yet what I know I sometimes notice I automatically do after having practiced it over years is as soon as I start to feel like, oh, a headache is coming on, or maybe I'm starting a cold, if I notice that some little symptom in my throat or in my head or my nose, then I imagine mother's protective light around me. I just imagine it like a whole ball of energy, like one of those sci-fi movies, and like a spaceship in Star Trek or something. They push a button and all of a sudden there's this protection shield. So I do that quite a bit. And I know I'm using the power of my imagination, yet I feel better in myself. I feel more protected. And I think that's half the battle, that the fact that I believe that in myself, that now that's there in place and I've imagined it, that I am protected, and that plays a part, I feel, in just feeling more in equilibrium and like I'm less susceptible to falling sick. Yeah, I wanted to share that.
Yeah, beautiful. Yeah, thank you. I think this is what you just shared, reinforce the nervous envelope. And what you just shared, that you use your power of imagination, we are using that all the time. It is just that we have become habitual to those imaginations which are regular to us, and we think that that's reality, and that is what we have to change. So we must use that power of imagination, which anyway we are using throughout the day and even night. We are all the time, we think that, oh no, this is what I see, it's not my imagination. But what we see is something else. What we see through our distorted perception is a distorted reality. So it's actually imagination. That's why scientists say, neuroscientists, that we are hallucinating all the time. So why not hallucinate in a good manner, which reinforces this nervous envelope? And later on, we will come to that aspect of power of thought and imagination, which is what we have to use. When I'm thinking of the mother, calling the mother, remembering mother's name, what am I doing? Making use of power of thought, imagination, and visualization in a good manner now, which is beneficial. Yeah. And by thinking that, oh my god, what will happen, all that is a negative visualization or imagination, by which we pierce holes in the nervous envelope, which we have read earlier. So we have to stop that and begin what you were sharing to do that. Yeah. Thank you. Yeah, anyone else?
Very interesting, the discussion I was having with somebody who is working on mindfulness and well-being, and she said that working quite a lot on this, she feels that even if we are able to stay in the moment most of the time, if not all the time, which is very difficult, so many of the illnesses will not manifest. So that was really interesting, that even if, you just hear, even if the thought is stabilized, if we cannot do anything else, she said that it really helps. So that's, she said that's why now if you see, there's especially post COVID, there's been outburst of illness because people have internalized that fear, and now anything small that happens to the neighbor or to somebody else, they'll say, oh, it's COVID or this. So the mind is just completely a monkey mind, and that is why you see that there's more and more illnesses that's happening. So I was really like, of course, this is very good if we can really sense it, but even just a small practice of stabilizing the mind can do such wonders was really interesting to me.
Yeah, it seems like a small practice, but it's not really. That's what the challenge is for all of us. We keep slipping back into our future, past, present commentary. We just can't be in the present moment. That's the challenge. So it's not a simple task, but it can be simple if we begin to be convinced that that's what we would like to do. Yeah, Snehi, we had touched upon this aspect of nervous envelope as if we have like a subtle body around us, and are also around not just the outer layer of the body, but also each cell has a subtle envelope. And by all the wrong and negative imaginations and thoughts, we uh, weaken, we degrade that subtle envelope. While if we have good thoughts, uplifting consciousness, then we make it stronger. It's like an armor that we have. So relying completely on the divine, or knowing that yes, nothing can touch me. If the divine wants me to go through it, I will go through it. So having that attitude, or good thoughts, it makes that subtle envelope which we can't see. So right now I can see just this outer line of the body, but uh, just because we don't have the right tool to look at it. But if we slowly begin to have tools which can actually look at the subtle envelope, then we will see that there is something. Some people also resonate with an aura, or and we were also talking of environmental consciousness, that each person has its own vibe, that you sense a vibe of a person. So these are all connected, and you make it weaker by negative thoughts, loops of thoughts. What Nandini was sharing, being in present moment, is another way to strengthen it. Remembering the divine name, strengthen it. But all the thinking of adverse situations and circumstances, oh, what will happen, all the worries, anxiety, as if you are piercing holes through that armor that is around. Not only our body, but also each cell of the body, I believe. Yeah. Yeah, anyone else?
It's like when I breathe, I'm breathing all the time. And when we focus on our breath, right? Then suddenly there's this new energy that we feel, right? It feels that, oh my God, like everything is all right. And like it's pretty it's good is the word that's coming to me. So similarly, if I say that I'm imagining there is a light of protection around me, it's like, I don't breathe, but when I breathe, I'm breathing. But that's not true, right? I am breathing, but when I'm looking at breath, it's not I'm imagining, it's always been there. So I think a lot of times our choice of words towards these things, like, what is a nervous envelope? We'll say it's kind of a subtle. It's not, it is. It's like, but because we want to tread carefully, because it's like, not seen, but it's there. So even though it's an imagination, like you so beautifully said, it has the power. But for me, just to say that it is an imagination also feels a bit wrong at a certain level, especially now, when we read these, when we know this is the truth. So it's not an imagination, it's a fact. But if I am not aware of it, like I'm so many times not aware of my breath, but the breath is there, the protection is there. So I'm just looking at it now like I look at the breath, giving it more energy. But it's there all the time. Just, yeah, thanks.
Yeah, I think it's just a matter of how we say it. So just a play of words, yes. Yeah.
But I think how we say it makes a difference as to how we take it, how much power we give it, how much we believe it's true, right?
Yeah, I think it's like, what it's coming to me is, it's like for a person who thinks that I have to think. Mother says that, okay, if you have to think good things, right? So of course mother can say, no, good things are there, you should know it, and that too she has said at many other places. But right now she is addressing, like, a context or a different person who is sitting in front, and he's just like, bewildered by his thoughts all the time, running around in loops. And to that person, who is me, mother would say, okay, if you have to think good, then good will happen, you know and it's very interesting that if I am and you are right, that if I'm thinking of all the bad, so the power here is that we think that reality is something out there and I have no control over it, while what we were sharing is that we are making our reality all the time. So by imagining that the worst will happen to me, I am making it real. Yes, that will happen, because everything has the possibility to happen. And by imagining, now using the word, now imagining that mother is around me, I invoke the mother. So what am I invoking? So I think, yes, I resonate with what you were sharing, that we tread carefully and use these kind of words. But I think just part of the process, it seems. Yeah. Slowly, as we become more convinced, then the other thing becomes like, we are treading softly and carefully. But here we are concrete now. Here, this has become concrete. There is no doubt that the mother is there. Right now I have doubt that, is mother there? Oh, I can't see her, I can't feel her. you know yeah, that way.
Yeah. So when I actually say if I'm sitting with my breath and I'm feeling its power, right? So then that's it. And when I get up, it ends. But it's like, this feeling or this knowing that even if I'm not feeling it, that prana is coming to me. So I don't end it there. So just that continuation that, okay, I think I'm imagining, and good. I mean, like you said, it's so good to imagine something rather than nothing. And especially when it's this positive energy and this is which is already there. So even if I say, okay, now I've switched off, I know it's already there, but I think I have, it feels it's a switch off.
Absolutely. And Mother says this, that if you think that I go away, that doesn't mean I go away. And other part is that many a times we are trying to feel the mother. It happens with us that, oh, I can't feel mother's presence today. So then again, mother warns that if you can't feel because of the limitation of the tool that we have, instrument, it's not sensitive enough or whatever, because we also are wanting to feel it in some way or the other. So when that is not there, it doesn't mean that the mother is not there. So having that certitude, what you were sharing regarding the breath also. Yes, yes. Yes, Swapna, you wanted to share?
Yeah, I was actually appreciating this little discussion you're having, because I realized, like, even as I was saying it, as in initially when I was sharing my example, there was a little part of me that was saying, like, you don't need to, you don't need to use the word imagination. It's become more. Probably initially when I started doing it, which was, I don't know, maybe started first, I was still at school, I think, so it's decades and decades ago. At that point, it was probably more imagination, and now it's become much more of a certainty. So it's helpful to hear the point, because it's like, yeah, actually, in reality, come on, like, stand a bit firmer, stand a bit taller in your experience and own it. It's much more powerful than just imagination, so yeah, thank you for putting it that way, because it allowed me then to go, I can give myself more surety, so it's like, like how in a document you can add bold and it just becomes fatter and stronger, one title or something like that. It's like that, it's like adding that quality of, oh no, there is a more sureness to it. It doesn't have to be so uh, feeble, or not even feeble, but it doesn't have to be so kind of wishy-washy, Yeah. So thank you.
Can I ask a can I ask a question? I was just feeling that I just was thinking as well while we were discussing that is positive visualization, which is a very powerful practice, especially when you're sick. Is it really a beginning, or is it really the end? Because I was just thinking, is it like progressing, like a beginner's step where you progress to a level where there is no distinguishing this, there's no difference between good and bad. Like in whatever condition you are, you see it as the ultimate good. You don't have to imagine it. Or is it really like I just wanted to ask, is it really a stepping stone, or is it always good to positively visualize of good health, and like if even if it's bad, because a part of us is always saying, when I positively visualize when I'm sick, a part of me says, oh, this is bad, this is not good, I don't welcome it. And then we kind of negate it with this feeling, oh, everything should be good, I'm healthy. So there is still that dualism there in the consciousness. I was just
Yeah.
thinking.
I think again, when so we'll talk about it, whether it's beginning or end or a stepping stone. But before that, whenever I'm affirming, my affirmation has to be resonating with me. We can't just, why affirmations fail for the persons whom it fails, because it fails for many of us, because the sentence I make doesn't resonate, but I keep on mechanically saying it. So when I am unwell and I am saying, no, I am healthy, no, I am healthy, actually I am not feeling it in the body that I am healthy. So as if I am fooling myself. So I have to make such an affirmation which resonates with me. For example, I'll just share, like I am unwell and it's like a serious illness that I'm having, and I'm feeling it in every part of my body, and I can't somehow say that I'm healthy. It doesn't resonate. So what can I say which will resonate? I know this is part of my progress. That will resonate. and even to some person that may not resonate. So I know that there is something higher which knows and is seeing overall. So anything that you can feel in the body consciousness, like, when you feel it, you feel that strength. Affirmation has to be that. There is a quality to affirmation. And that's why many people say, oh, affirmations did not work for me. Why they did not work for me? Because I did not make it a part of my body consciousness. So when we are experimenting with affirmation, for example, something negative is going on about a person or a relationship or anything, in my life, and I want to now give it a positive turn, I have to come to that sentence which I can feel in the body, and I can feel the empowerment and expansion of it. Then I have to begin to repeat it. Repeat it on paper, like thousands of times, millions of times, and then it becomes part of my repetition in the head and in the dreams also. So it goes until the deeper level. So affirmation has a very powerful aspect to it, and we should know that we are affirming all the time our thoughts, our feelings. Aren't we affirming that yes, they are true? And that's what our life becomes. So if my life is become what it has become due to the power of my inside affirmations, can't I work on it and make it different? I can, of course. No, I am the creator of my life, right? So that aspect of affirmation, that if we do it really concretely, it does change our life. Secondly, we can't really say, see, infinite ladder going to the divine. Where would you say, where is the beginning and where is the end? And how would it matter? Infinite. Secondly, thirdly, third aspect is that whatever happens in life, regarding the thing that you talked about, stepping stone, whatever, since it is an infinite ladder that we are all walking on, whatever happens in life is a stepping stone, because there always is a moving on. And you are right, there may come a time when we have all become yogis, and then we don't even need that power of a positive affirmation. We just know it concretely. But until that happens, which may take a longer course, now what I am wanting to do is I want to don't remain in this poison of negative thoughts that is there. So affirmations become a stepping stone on the way. And slowly, as we are able to gain more mastery over the mind, that okay, I say mind still, and the mind remains still for as long as I want it to be still, then maybe no need of positive affirmations. Positive affirmations are needed only when there is a mechanical negative chatter going on. So we can't say whether it's a beginning stage, end stage again, because it's like a long process. But as long as I see that yes, negativity is present in me and I would like to work on it, we must make use of this power of positive affirmation, unless it becomes redundant. Yeah, anyone else?
Yes, ma'am. Ma'am, can I request you to open that passage again? Thank you. So, it says we sense to around us a vital, physical, or nervous envelope which radiates from the body and protects it. And we can feel the adverse forces trying to break through it and can interfere, stop them, and reinforce the nervous envelope. It says we can feel, right? So I'll start with an example that if I am looking for happiness or I'm looking for peace in a company that doesn't give me peace, like if I'm sad today and going to a bunch of friends to hang out with, have a beer, and then feel good about my life. It may feel good at that moment of time, but that's not the answer to my question. So the only way I can feel at peace is by either focusing on my breath, calming my mind, or talking to the mother, at least to me. In the same way, these medicines, to me at this point of time, I do not sense anything coming into me, because in a way I find that, oh, I'll open the drawer and there is a Jhandu balm. Kya ho jayega? You know? Or there is a aspirin, or what do you call it here? Tylenol. I'm depending on those medicines. Not consciously, even subconsciously also, I think that, okay, क्या होगा, कुछ होगा तो medicines है ना, you know यहाँ पे तो डॉक्टर्स फ्री, यहाँ पे तो मेडिकल फ्री, मतलब हॉस्पिटल सब फ्री है, तो व्हाट्स द बिग डील. And as long as I am convincing myself that there is something, material that will take care of me, there is no way it's going to help me. I've experienced it. I've experienced this before, and it's it. I've been in the hospital for 10 days once, just once in my life, and I was requesting the nurse to just take me in the wheelchair to just let me see the sky. That's how much I missed. And even now, I'm sitting here, I'm talking, and I'm saying this, but in innerly, I know that I know that I'm still dependent on these external factors. So my question here is, ma'am, this is a very beautiful passage and a very beautiful explanation. How do I incorporate this method slowly? How do I stop depending? Like, I know that I'll tell myself that tomorrow stop depending on that, but when the moment comes, the first thing I do is my hand goes there. So how do I make the progress? Like, I just need some direction on this. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. So a couple of things. First, that if we are not interested, curious in this journey, then we can't have this adventure. Because in the beginning, delight doesn't come like that. No? Oh, delight is there, so let me do that. In the beginning, lots of effort is required. And who will put the effort? Think about it. If I'm in love with my work, if I'm in love with a relationship, then you put the effort. Love is very important element. Mother says 1 drop of love, just that. Not even 1 mug full, she says, 1 drop. So if you have become now curious about this experimentation with yourself, okay, let me see, am I able to sense it, next time it happens? Was I able to? Maybe in the beginning you begin to sense it in retrospect. Oh, maybe this was the beginning of my downfall. So you're lying down on the bed, and in retrospect you are looking at the events. So this is how we begin, in retrospect. So I have fallen in, I have taken ill, I'm on the bed, lying down, there is no sky, maybe just a room. And I am wondering, okay, where did my downfall start? And you would get to know, because we have this light of consciousness. It sees everything. It's like a cine camera, mother says, right? Records everything. So if this reminds me, there was a series that I used to watch. I'm not going to name the series because it may just make some of us more very curious, and you may just get hooked onto it. I don't want to do that. So in that series, it was about some spies and CBI and these kind of CIA and something like that. So here, what they did was, so imagine that event has happened. Now they want to extract some information from that happened event. What they used to do is that the person who was there at the scene, who was part of the CIA or whatever, some detective thing, they would make her go into a kind of a hypnosis trance. And she would go into it, and she would recollect all those things which she was not conscious of. She thought, maybe I have not noticed. See, I am now looking at you here. So as if I'm not noticing rest of it, right? This is what we see. But our consciousness is not limited to our vision. Consciousness is at one time available to everything, even in the other rooms, what is happening. So they tapped into that aspect of consciousness of knowing, and what I didn't know that I knew this. Suddenly, when we go into that trance-like state, we are suddenly, oh yes, and they could even see the numbers written on somebody's plate or camera or whatever, going back in that trance. So that's what I'm sharing, that first in the beginning it happens like in a retrospect, that okay, let me see how did I fall in. What was the first thought that may have happened when it started my downfall? Something negative must be going on. We will be able to discover that. So it becomes very enchanting for us. That's what I was saying. So when we are in love with this adventure, it helps us, to become curious. Now, second aspect can also be that, okay, I may pick up the Chandu balm because now I am having the headache, or Tylenol or whatever. But when I am picking it up, I am saying, okay, mother, this is your prasad, I am taking it. That can be one way. And like that, there would be infinite number of possibilities which will be given to me, that okay, if not earlier you were unconscious, now you can be conscious. Acha now. So infinite number of times and opportunities given to us, that any moment of time when I want to wake up, I can make that a conscious action or life or offering. So that's how we can begin. First, we can begin in retrospect, that after falling or after having an accident, I wonder upon it and I contemplate upon it, that what was the cause of my downfall. And we all get to know. And at times we can say thank you, so that it happens with me at times whenever I get lost in the loopy, slippery slope. Immediately something from me would fall, or I'll burn my finger, and immediately I'd say thank you. ये बताने के लिए that okay, I was entering into a slippery slope, so that you can again come back to present moment and be there. Yeah.
Something I think I shared last
Okay.
time, I think resonates here, that I was getting sick. Like I caught it, it was late till the time it has entered. I felt, but then I immediately asked the mother to take care. But interestingly, every time I had this habit of coming in, taking a paracetamol because, oh, it shouldn't go. But a part of me said, okay, this time just leave paracetamol. It's something small. I mean, if you're having big ache, something big happened, or a big disease, of course. Even there, I think the aim is just relying on grace, even if you take medicine. But I thought, okay, for this, I don't need medicine. At least I'm ready that grace will take care of me. And interestingly, it didn't get bad. Usually I'll get, it stayed. Like I still, feel nose and all, but it did not get into fever or 2, 3 days. Similarly, also last year, I remember when I went to Pondicherry, went to somebody was telling me, and I used to have really bad period aches. It used to be really bad. I used to take painkillers every time, sometimes like 2 times in a day. And they gave me flower scents, very nice. It was really nice. But pain was still there. So I think I thought, okay, I'm taking essence, I'm not taking painkillers. Why don't I make it an opportunity to just, remember the mother and just do ma, 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 ma. And like really, like very grateful to her that for 3, 4 months, pain used to be there. Of course, I think essence, flower essence helped. But more than that, I think it was, just calling that mama. And by the second or third month, I enjoyed it. Like the pain was there. Aha, the opportunity to saying mama has come again. Say ma, 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 ma. Been 7 months now, I don't have pain. It is her grace only. But I don't feel like I don't need any medicine. Period cycle would start, they will go, but there is literally no discomfort. And sometimes now I feel, now I don't think of her too much. It used to give me. So that thing, just taking, I think, small opportunities, like taking the small illness and just not taking the medicine. Like, I'm sorry if sometimes, but at least for cold and small things, not worth it. Just relying on grace and let her carry us. I think that's from my experience.
Yeah, Yeah, beautiful. Thank you. Yes. And at times, again, since there is no formula that we can put to it, at times the work that you have to attend may be such a work that you, mother's name, you take some antibiotic or Disprin or whatever, and you get to work. Depends again on context to context, because I remember once Sampadanand Mishra ji was here in Gurgaon, and he was sharing with us that he had to take antibiotics and he put it in front of mother's picture, and after that he took it as a prasad. Now that he has to be well, because he is on tour and travel and he has to visit some centers. So I think that would depend upon context to context. But yes, totally resonate that pain can be our opportunity to have that intense communion, which is not there when we usually are okay. Yeah, that's a beautiful opportunity. Yeah, anyone else wants to add on anything here?
I would like to add a little bit, a small bit of it. There were two aspects discussed during this discussion. One was affirmation. So I feel the first and the foremost thing is to have an internal affirmation and astha, which is going, to make me strong enough in my belief that yes, this path will work. I'll give you a small example. There have been n number of placebo experiments in medicines where medicines were not given, but substitutes which had nothing to do with medicine were given. And it depended on many of the recipients, they were cured from those illnesses. And not all of them, but it depended upon the receptivity of the person, that he believed in those things, that I'm taking a medicine, I'm getting cured. Now that is a non-aware healing. He is not aware and he's getting healed. Now imagine the power where Shri Aurobindo is saying that you try to analyze what is attacking you, try to isolate it, and try to work on it. It is the same thing as placebo, but in a different context where you are targeting it specifically, it becomes much stronger. But again, it is very easily said, but very difficult to do. You have to have that strength, that astha, that affirmation that yes, this is going to cure me, and not take the easy way out with the other things. With the other aspect that you mentioned about taking the natural medicine and other and invoke the mother's name. Two of my aunts were down with cancer, and even in their last stages, they were constantly talking about ma, and doing the job. And even in the last stages of their cancer, one had stomach cancer, the other had bone cancer. Uh, they never ever complained. There was no pain. I mean, they didn't talk about pain, they didn't cry, and they went out very silently smiling. And I think that it was what we told, that you dedicate that illness to mother and mother takes care of it. Cancer is something that in the final stages you have to work on it, because divine does not work until you work on that illness. So you need a lot of your willpower to work on it. But still, she made through her great divine grace the whole process effortless for both of them. And for me, that is a great thing, because I have seen within my family a lot of cancer survivors and a lot of cancer deaths, and it is a very painful process. So this is my two-bit take on this whole thing.
Yeah, thank you, Sharatji. Anyone else wants to add on anything here? It's like, another example that we can see again what the passage was about is, imagine that we have a house and there is a theft in the house. So in the beginning, if we are not aware, we just get to know after the door and locks are open and everything is gone. Oh, there is a theft. And then we begin to maybe retrace that what could have happened. We maybe try to check the cameras which may be around, right? Because we don't have a camera so far, so we maybe on the street, if somebody had a camera, then we get to know. And slowly, as we begin to want no more thefts, we can now put a camera in our house, outside our house. So this is what, when we talk about vigilance, and what mother was sharing, that you can prevent it before it enters, because for that I need to be awake. Usually I'm sleeping, and when we say I am sleeping, means I am thinking, and I am feeling. This is where we are lost. We are never in the present moment. We are always lost. So when we begin to become aware in the present moment, that is when we are open with our cine cameras, like we are awake. The mind is quiet, the being is calm, silent, and here I am here, I am here. So when I am here, then if something is entering, then I can get to know, or again I can feel something like some uneasiness, some tweak, something. For it would be different for every individual how it happens when it enters. But before that, I can only retrace the steps in retrospect, like when our own cameras are not on. So before our own cameras get on, it's okay to retrospect, go retrace our steps. But slowly, we can keep our own cameras on. We can try to be as much as possible fully here, so that when a thief is coming, I'm here. I notice its presence. And many masters have used this word thief, like thieves will come and eat up your farmland and crops, because whatever enters through the senses, we interpret it and we get lost in it. So this is like a thief, and that's why Kabir ji has said that ek jeev ripu panch, so 5 enemies of one being. And these senses have been called at times as enemies because they take us outward, like, okay, how dare that person said this to me, or what was happening there, we are all the time commenting on things and thinking. So this is why we are outward. But when we are ingathered, then our camera is on, and then we can sense, and as we were all sharing, that we can also invoke and repel and maybe reduce the degree of the illness. And what Sharatji was sharing, that we may have the illness, but there is peace inside. So yes, so we'll move on from this passage. Any last comment? Okay, so let's take this other one also, the next one. If anyone would like to read it for us, please do.
Yeah, I'll read it, ma'am. It starts from all illnesses. All illnesses pass through the nervous or vital physical sheet of the subtle consciousness and subtle body before they enter the physical. I'll just read that one more time. All illnesses pass through the nervous or vital physical sheath of the subtle consciousness and subtle body before they enter the physical. If one is conscious of the subtle body or with the subtle consciousness, one can stop an illness on its way and prevent it from entering the physical body. But it may have come without one's noticing, or when one is asleep, or through the subconscient, or in a sudden rush when one is off one's guard, then there is nothing to do but to fight it out from a hold already gained on the body. Self-defense, self-defense by may become so strong that the body becomes practically immune, as many yogis are. Still, this practically does not mean absolutely. The absolute immunity can only come with with the supramental change. For below the supramental, it is the result of an action of a force among many forces and can be distributed by a disruption of the equilibrium established. In the supramental, it is a law of the nature. In the supramentalized body, immunity from illness would be automatic, inherent in its new nature. Thank you.
Yeah, any thoughts? Mhm.
When I read these things, like also Mother talking about rejecting the illness as we might reject some bad thought, it feels still sort of abstract for me. Like I don't know really what it means in practical ways. How you do that? I it tells me something, but at the same time, I'm not
Yeah,
sure what it means
I
to
think that's a
reject.
perfectly good stage to be at. Beautiful stage to, and that's how things begin. That you are curious, you don't know how it happens, but it has caught your attention. It has caught your attention, it has become a little part of your consciousness, but you don't know the process, you don't know how to do it. And slowly, if there is an aspiration anywhere in the being, like even a drop of aspiration somewhere has started, that okay, I would like to know, slowly the life unfolds in a way that you are given opportunities that okay, now know through this example in your life, okay, now know. So you're just at the right spot, I think, and nothing else needs to be done. I feel that's my personal feeling, that it's a beautiful stage forward. That's, earlier I'm like, okay, indifferent to it. It may be happening, but I don't care. And now I'm curious about it. And yet I see that I don't know how it happens. And it's one step further from that earlier stage. So that's how I feel, that's how slowly, step by step. And it could be, it could be in a few days that you get to know, it could be a few months, it could be a few years, or God knows what, but it will happen that you get a chance to experiment and you would slowly, know how to. And again, knowing is also like in degrees, all of us are sharing. We don't really know. We are sharing our experiences. That, okay, this is what I do, and so far this works, And maybe next day it doesn't work. That happens with us, right? Aloe vera worked for me 5 days ago and now it stopped working. Can happen. So then something else begins to work. So these are all just like, those little, I feel, steps on the path, which are completely, each one has its right place.
Yeah, thank you.
At this point, I have an example to share, maybe that will, and I'm sure all of us will have such examples, but I'm just putting one forward. I remember a person, a friend of mine, who visited someone, uh, not really knowing what he was to do with that person, but he just wanted to meet and fixed up an appointment and met that person. Maybe some attraction, we don't know what. He didn't know what to do. When, why am I here? No idea, but I'm here, interacting with that person. Okay. Now, this is 10 years ago. 10 years afterwards, see the unfolding of life. That person is working with that fellow who he met. That time, there was just an attraction, not knowing what am I here to do, why am I meeting this person, but you just felt a calling to meet that person. And now you are sitting with the person, working with that person, right? So things happen. Mother shares several places that things happen. This is called unfolding of life, and there is nothing by chance. We think that it's a chance. We think it's a chance because we can't see the logical sequence before it, and neither events to come after it. That's why it appears like chance. Okay, chance. But if we were have the, what do they say, the larger drishti, the larger vision, then it would not appear like a chance. Then it will appear like, oh yes, it has to happen, like a little dot in that big frame. So these our inklings or feelings or curiosities are also like these events, all have a proper place in that big chart of life. Yeah, any comments here? Anything to share?
Yeah, I just wanted to say something. So, like we're talking about the subtle physical, the vital sheath, and this is like we can become aware of it and see the things that are going on, illnesses coming in, the different vibrations and all that. And this is really good. But I think that what we need to do today, because the time has come now, like this is where the changes that we are seeing today is that these the subtle physical and the physical is becoming more and more aligned. So what we need to do today is, instead of just experiencing and in terms of situated in your normal consciousness and then experiencing it from there, we have to actually become the subtle physical, and that kind of becoming has to become more of an absolute character. And at the same time, we must be able to dislocate our consciousness, dislocating the consciousness into specific areas where we need the healing. And at the same time, we must go deeper into the different areas, like connecting with the tissue and the cells and the organic consciousness, the consciousness of the organ behind that, the energy and the mechanisms, the automatism that is operating. And that is a very what can you say, like a strange experience. And that is something that we must do. There are some challenges when it comes to that, because it's not something that you are used to, because you are completely you're not, this is not something that is linear in a way. Like, it's hard to explain it, but this is the sort of the next step we must go to. We must have to dislocate the consciousness, because until we do that, the effectivity of bringing in the force, of applying the force, and concentrating the force onto a particular area is may not go over the threshold. And until you cross the threshold, it may not be enough when it comes to healing. So like, this is something that we have to look forward to. This is something some of us have looked at and had some experiences, but there are some challenges there, some dangers as well, because these things can be very disorientating and all that. But yeah, I'm just saying that this is the direction which we have to move towards eventually anyway.
Yeah, eventually anyway. I would resonate with that. I think where, Mother aligns us again and again, it's very helpful. So she says that don't first begin at the body level, because there we can't hold that light of consciousness unless the thoughts and feelings are purified. So I totally resonate with you that that is what we are all actually going toward. What you were sharing, that to locate yourself in the true consciousness, absolutely resonate with you. But it is done in stages. My consciousness has to be purified, and that is what we all so far were talking about, that even positive affirmations have a place, because right now all I am full of is negative. So with that kind of a scattered negative consciousness, I won't be able to locate or sense my true consciousness, or to be able to lodge myself there, as you were sharing. So Mother says that don't be an angel in the body if you first are not an already angel in thoughts and feelings. And that is where you were sharing that it can go haywire. So we don't want to take it to haywire. Why? Because Mother is here. And what Mother suggests us, and which works perfectly good, it's like a good sequence. Thoughts, feelings are subtler, but we can be aware of it. They are not that subtle that we can't be aware of it. So we begin to work with that. Okay, cleaning the house, I am aware, okay, this is what on my table. Can I clean it? Can I clean up the garbage today? Yes, I can. It's in my hands. I can do that. So just with that, I extend it to my thoughts and feelings. I look at them. Okay, how much kachra is there? Do I want it? Do I not want it? Centering myself on Mother's consciousness when I don't want the garbage. Keeping the room neat, clean, and healthy. So that, as Sri Aurobindo says, we can install the divine presence in a neat, clean, and healthy room. Then when we slowly become purified, and again, purification is a long process, more and more purified in thoughts and feelings, and it's like an empty, clean slate. Then consciousness can have that power that when it lodges itself in the true being, in the subtle envelope, and begins to live concretely there, what you were sharing, then it will have that effect what you were leading us towards. So these are all sequential processes, and of course I'm not saying that it's all linear, but we have to at least first start with thoughts and feelings, so that we keep always the Mother with us all the time, and there are lesser and lesser chances of any ambition, or this kind of greed, or name, fame, respect, wanting to be someone, I want to have this realization. So that all clutter slowly is taken care of. So it becomes like a little safer way, I would say. So yeah, that's what I wanted to add on. Yeah. अभी जो दिख रहा है पहले वो तो साफ करें ना, जो नहीं दिख रहा वो तो अभी हम उस पे तो बेचारा में मतलब कंट्रोल ही नहीं है ना कोई. Whatever I can see, at least that I can work upon, and that we should work upon to keep our temple clean. And slowly then our drishti becomes more like finer. Yeah,
I feel that it's that time, you can't just wait for the sequential thing. You have to parallelly at the same time you have to expand yourself as well. And Sri Aurobindo has mentioned this many times. Mother has mentioned it a few times that.
Yeah, but we can't force it, no, Arpit. Everyone has their own unfolding. See, whatever we are discussing in these sessions, now some of us may have some concrete change inside of us, some of us remain untouched, and that is my individual journey, right? So everyone, we have to respect and honor everyone's journey. And that's why integral yoga, people are very cautious. If you see, people are very cautious. They don't want to comment on what Sri Aurobindo and Mother have said. Now we may have this study circle here, where we are looking at the words and discussing and reflecting upon it. It may have its proper place, we don't know. We may be erring, we don't know. Actually, I may not know that what mistake I am making, but some people are very cautious about this, that they say that don't interpret words of Mother and Sri Aurobindo. Why? Because we will make mistakes, we can make mistakes. So the best is to, what we all again and again reiterate for ourselves, to completely rely on the Mother. One day you stop coming to the sessions, none of us will be sad about it. Because it's not that my business should be running. It's about that, am I glued to the Mother now? That's the complete fail safe I have. Now when I go to the session, not go to the session, now it doesn't matter. So I would be very cautious, because here we can't force this thought to anybody, because everyone has their own journey and we don't know what is the sequence of events for whom. So to be very, very cautious, I would say. When I'm speaking it, I really feel that I have to be very cautious, and I don't know really what is the truth, but Mother knows. So just glue yourself to the Mother and we are safe.
In this regard, I also have, experienced this, that if I try to over, I don't know, target, or that this must happen, or just push myself a bit hard, there's something in me which resists so strongly that I actually end up 2 steps back. Like I don't even remain where I was. And then I have to coax myself and, say, no, 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 it's okay. We'll take it slowly. Like this thing I have felt. And this also sometimes I've seen that a lot of times, because it appears too big, something in me says, then what's the point of starting? Right? That also is an ego thing. I feel ke tujhse nahi hoga, right? It's not something achievable. It's too big, too big, too big. Forget it. But if I am here and if I am just mostly looking at, okay, this is the step I can take. This is the step I can take, or this is what I can feel, or I think, I believe, that is much more easier and much more concrete. I feel that, and it feels enough now, rather than that big thing and stuff. It just feels, and knowing that, okay, I am guided, that really helps. And just one, what you were talking about, there is no chance, right? Like there's no chance, there are no coincidences. So there was this line in Savitri that the world was not made by the bricks of chance, like something like, was quite beautiful. Yeah, that's nice.
Yeah, one of the phrases in the passage, I don't know if you can bring it up again. I think it's towards the end, about the supramental allowing something like immunity to be intrinsic, or sorry, I'm on the session on my iPhone, so it's even smaller. Yes. In the supramentalized body, immunity from illness would be automatic, inherent in its new nature. So that has been really, the last few minutes since it was read, really stuck somehow. And rang as something very appealing and attractive to me, even though it seems such a far off ideal. And at the same time, I was reminded, I was in Pondicherry recently for a visit, and I was reminded a few times in different ways about the need to bridge the parts of myself that doubt or question or don't say I don't know, and then everything that can ensue from that with the part that has so much faith. And so where my mind went with all of this, linking into this immunity, is there is faith. I'm so clear about that. There is so much faith in myself, in Mother and Sri Aurobindo's words. And if that's the piece that resonated with me just now or stuck somehow, then it's like having the faith that that's at some point going to be reality, that the possibility of it exists, whenever that is Mother's business, is the divine's business. And in the meantime, just to kind of orient myself there, so if I were a sailboat, then to navigate in that direction, it's like, oh, the immunity is going to be inherent. So there's some seed of that in me already. And that kind of ties in with that first paragraph that we were looking at today, of like that force field of some sense of the mother being around if there's some sense of an illness coming in. And it's like the two seem really linked to me in this moment. It's like, oh, of course, the force field would help and her energy, because there's some little seed and promise already in place of that immunity in the body is going to be just ever present, and it's just going to be inbuilt. So it was a very beautiful point to contemplate. And that the faith is needed in that, just to have the faith that it's possible, and therefore I can, with confidence, set the rudder, and so that the boat is navigating that way when it comes to not just illness. I think even in terms of, mental, vital type of imbalances, right? So like having a bad day or feeling knocked when a mishap happens or something that appears to be bad news. So I think all that comes into it too. It's like, oh, there's something that can be immune from all those things.
Yeah, beautiful. Thank you. Yes. Right now, it's good that we die, because the way we live, we can be thankful that we are not immortals right now. Really. So, supramental change has a surety of living totally in divine resonance. Then it makes the sense that, okay, body is immortal. But right now, when in 2 moments I'm with the mother, selfless, and in other 5 moments I'm again interested and manipulative, we can be really thankful that we have death still existing. Otherwise, we will be asuric entities, prolonged their lives forever. We don't want that. So everything has a baby step, and that's what we all are at. We are purifying our nature, what like Swapna was sharing, so that we become a good receptacle for the supramental, change and transformation, so that we become worthy of having a body which is immune now to attacks. But right now we see that there are so many poisons, like cankers, as mother says, in us time to time. Half of the time I may be, of course, without it, but then it rises up again. It may have a spiritual garb to it, and it rises up. See, I am the one, and it rises up. So we are not immune to that rising up of the ego again and again. And that is why it's a long process. This purification, synthesis of yoga, we can read, purification, so many, like the process of purification. Everything has to be purified. Purification of intelligence, purification of will, purification of vital, mental, तो पूरे कचड़े से भरे हुए हैं हम. और अब हम सोचे कि भैया हमको इम्यूनिटी मिल जाए अटैक से, तो ये तो इम्पॉसिबल है. इनफैक्ट कचड़े की वजह से ही we attack we kind of invite the attack. It's because of that magnet of poison within us that we invite the attack. So when with purification the magnet also goes away, then what is the need for attack? But at least this much we can do, what we have been all sharing. Little by little, whatever we can see, whatever we can do, making it more pure, 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 pure. And that's where again the aspect of desirelessness or selflessness comes in the picture. Because this can attack us, and I may be 30 years with the on the path of sadhana. That's no surety that I have become selfless. No. So to be vigilant as long as I have breath in the body, so long I have to be vigilant, because it can raise its head any time and claim everything. Yes, Ritu.
Yeah, so here in the last paragraph, what does it mean to be having a supramentalized body?
Yeah, actually, Mother has shared about it. Mother has talked about it. I can share the context with you. A few words that would be nice to read her directly.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can share. Maybe Arpit would know. Arpit can share on the group Integral Healing, where Mother herself shares about the supramental body.
Okay, right.
Yeah. So, any last comments before we end? Anyone?
I'll just say that one thing that really assures me on the path, somebody who doesn't have a very strong willpower with certain things, is that Mother is there. I mean, like, when we talk about doing this and doing that, I get so much overwhelmed sometimes that, oh goodness, ab keh to diya that we'll start the yoga, but the instrument is not at all like you said. For one moment, you say Mother, 10 moments will come. But then there was very good aphorism I can share as well. So beautiful. Sri Aurobindo's aphorism, and in that I read somewhere Mother has shared that, my dear child, don't do anything. Just call me sincerely. If there's a tendency, there is a thought that's coming, and there's a bad habit that doesn't, just keep calling me. And the other person said, yeah, we do, but it doesn't go. She said, okay, then tell me, Mother, look, it is still there. And I thought, and she said, that's it, what you have to do. And it gave me so much, that thing resonated with me, that, okay, I don't have to do anything. Like, I'll say, okay, I lied today. I was in the night time, you do self-inspection. I was not good, but I'm yours. So you take care of it. And that's it. And that gives me, okay, I don't have to do all these realizations, because, mind might understand and very good with philosophy and writing. But in practice, I am not very good, because I keep falling. So I would just rather ask her, okay, I don't even have to walk. Can you please carry me? So it's easy. And I think that's why I keep saying to myself that life is so difficult, but yoga is so easy. Like just being with her, if we learn, like, if I really learn to be with her, it becomes so easy. The days, the moments, I ask her, I'm, in her presence. It is so nice, but that doesn't stay. I wish we could stay in that, and it is going, like, for me, the supramental realization, like, I just see it like that. So yeah, maybe I'm not a very disciplined child, but
No, I resonate, what you are sharing. And of course, we have shared anecdotes where Mother says that you don't have to do it, you can't do it. So please, just मेरे को कर दो और मैं कर देती हूँ तुम्हारे लिए, but हमसे वो सहन नहीं होता ना भाई, हम क्या करेंगे? So today, I was just reflecting over this. There was a group of children who were doing something in the community where we live, and they were like regular supplies of something which has to go. So I was going again and again from the balcony. I was looking at it. Okay, something required, and I was wondering at it, just like I am so curious and wanting to know, okay, when will my help be required? I just suddenly felt that Mother is always around, that what we talk, and always also, when will the help be required? But then we don't call. And suddenly I thought that, okay, if the help is needed, then he will call from downstairs and let me know, okay, send this downstairs. And that is what we have to do, that we have to call, because when I'm not calling, then Mother is around, but it feels that the child is okay by himself. Then what is the need to go? But so that's why, we, as long as I think that I'm capable, I can take care of this. No, why should I call Mother for this little thing? That's what we think in the beginning. But slowly it happens that we begin to, even that little thing, if we have an aspiration to do it perfectly, nicely, selflessly, we begin to call mother even in that little thing. Taking an aspirin, okay, call the mother. Going to the bathroom, call the mother. It may initially feel like really not needed, but slowly we actually move towards that. That everywhere now the mother takes over the yoga slowly, 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 because you want mother in every little facet of your life. When I think that no, I can take care of this, then mother is around, but she says, okay, no call means everything good. Yeah. And even that is a part of our progress, because we ripen through that, not calling the mother also. We are all progressing all the time. If I am not calling the mother, it doesn't mean that the mother is not overlooking me, looking over me. She is. And progress and ripening is anyway happening, because that is the design of universe. Yeah, interesting. Yeah, so any last comments, any thoughts, anyone?
Yeah, slightly stupid question. So sometimes, like if we call the mother all the time, even for small things, so won't the mother get too disturbed?
What do you think, Ritu? You
See,
know the
like I
answer.
can imagine myself that there's a child, like let's say 8 to 10 year old child, and a mother, a real biological mother. So if the child keeps calling her all the time, Mama, come and do this for me. Mama, please. Mama, I can't do this. Mama, you please feed me. Mama, please wash my hands. So sometimes the mother would feel that few things you can do on your own. Call me
Yeah,
only
yeah.
when it's needed.
Here is where every example should not be stretched too much, otherwise it becomes a bogus example. It's the same with every metaphor that we use. If we stretch it too far, it becomes a bogus. You think that okay, it loses its place even in that example that we shared, because now it's not valid here. So we have to know that biological mothers have limitations,
Mm-hmm.
because we are who we are. So we should not exactly with our limited mind think that okay, since biological mother is limited and always exhausted with the children, divine mother is also it doesn't make sense. It doesn't resonate. Something doesn't resonate. If the divine has created a universe which is so infinite that the scientists have not reached the end of that universe, don't you think that the divine has also capability to look after it? Think about it. है ना, तो वो अपनी ह्यूमन लिमिटेशन हम डिवाइन पे नहीं डाल सकते ना. सो दैट विल बी जस्ट like too much stretching of an example. If that gives you solace, good, but that would not give you solace. What will give me solace is that yes, we are all children of the divine, and if divine has brought us into manifestation, that is what his task is, that he's looking after us, so I can always call, always
Mm-hmm.
around. That makes more sense, even to the logical mind. That would make more sense. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Mm. Yes, Taru, you wanted to add on.
Yeah, actually, I was admitting right now just what Ritu started, was saying that initially I would think exactly what she was saying, that let me not disturb. And also at times I see that a lot of times it is said that you call her name or you chant a god's name, and that is for the god. You're making the god happy. Like I've come across people who say that. And then when you actually start offering or telling, I'm going out, I'm going here, you take care, for example, initially it felt कि जरूरत क्या है. And then the dawning happened कि उनको तो obviously कोई जरूरत नहीं है, but मेरे को जरूरत है. Like, they would not need me to call her every 10 minutes, 10 seconds, but it's for me to remember that she's there, she's there, she's there, she's there. So when I'm doing it, when I don't even need to do, So when I need to do it, it would be a natural happening. I would have to force it. Okay, now, acha, headache is happening. Let me sit and say that, mother, you take care. Because it's a every step is offered. Every step is offered. So it's amazing that how she and I, we were saying the same thing. And yeah, very beautiful dawning that it's for me. Everything is for me. Nothing is for, yeah.
Yeah, thank you. Yes. Yes, Sharatji.
There's one small addition I would like to make over here. We are talking about that we are hesitant in remembering or taking the divine's name while doing any activity or insignificant activity. There is a small, I read somewhere, a small exchange between a sadhak and the mother. Uh, he was talking about his progress on the divine path, and the mother said, "Do you always remember me?" And then he said, "Yes, of course." Then he, as I recollect the exchange, he said, "Do you remember me while doing your daily brushing?" I said, "No, mother, I don't." She said, "Why not? Every activity that you do, you have to consecrate that activity to me and remember me so that I may do that activity through you. And it may be fruitful, it may be painless, it may be consecrated to the divine." So that is what I understand, that whatever you do it for divine, and you invoke divine, invoke the mother in in the start of every activity that you do. And whenever you are in any problem, you are not in a problem, every time you have to invoke. The only problem is that we fail to invoke the mother's name every time. We only do it when we are in some problem or we are facing some difficulty. We try to invoke that name at that time, not at the other times. That is what my take on it.
So let's pause it here. We can take the next half next time. Just sharing, dedicating the merit of collective understanding, clarity, reflection. Sharing the merit with all the sentient beings, near to far. May all of us have peace and content in our hearts. Simple, uncomplicated minds. And lots of peace, joy, and progress in our lives. Thank you. Thanks, everyone.